Now, if you've been following my channel, you will know that I've been keeping tabs on the Newcastle United women's team, and I've covered a couple of matches this season already. Now, this morning, 9 o'clock, the club announced that the Newcastle United women's are going to be playing another game at St James's Park, this time against Bradford on November the 27th. And this is just so exciting for the women's team. If you cast your mind back to April earlier this year, they played at St James's Park for the first time and had a crowd in excess of 22,000. So let's hope that the club are going to smash that record, and it's going to be so exciting. I'm here today at the Newcastle United Academy. I've been invited along to speak to the manager and one or two of the players to find out how they feel about it, but also to get a little bit more information about who these girls are. It's coming up. Gillian, thanks very much for joining me on Tyneside Live. Now, you're from the United States.
I am.
I believe that's really interesting. Gillian, Oyos? Oyos? Is that a Spanish name?
It's actually Norwegian.
Okay.
Funny enough, yeah.
Right. So I've been doing a little bit of homework on you. So are you from Virginia, is it?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Is that the Blue Ridge Mountains?
Mm-hmm. The Smoky Mountains, yeah.
Yeah. And you majored in psychology?
And health and wellness, yeah.
Health and wellness. And I understand, are you bilingual?
I'm not. I studied 5 years of Spanish, but I'm not good enough to be bilingual, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna show off a little bit of Spanish there.
Oh.
But also, but you've done. You're interested in volunteer work as well. I think you were involved in preparing and distributing food to the vulnerable and working with kids,
Yeah.
trying to get them into sport.
Yeah, I was actually president of, it was called SAC, Student Advisory Athletic Committee in college, and we did a lot of reading books to children and then working at the YMCA shelter to deliver food to those less fortunate, so yeah.
So what brought you across from the United States to play football for Newcastle United?
So I met a girl, her name is Louise Griffiths, she actually plays for Sunderland, but she played with me at a summer league in the U.S. at Asheville City, and we met that way, and when I was graduating college, I just kind of reached out to her, and she put me in contact with Coach Becky, and her and I had a conversation, and here I am.
Correct me if I'm wrong, football in America for women is probably, the infrastructure has been there a bit longer,
Yeah.
maybe it's perhaps a bit higher standard, I don't know. What differences have you noticed from playing in America and now playing here in England?
I would say in America, the ball, here is much more like technical and dynamic, and the ball really like works through the midfield, and it's honestly a lot more fun. In America, I think a lot of people rely on their athleticism, and the midfield kind of gets skipped a lot of the times. That long ball over the top is played, and you just have really quick players up top to get onto it. And there's definitely something to be said for that style. But here what I've noticed is that there's an effort to really move the ball out of the back and work it through the midfield, and that's been really fun, especially as a midfielder. Yeah,
and you've joined the Newcastle United family at such a momentous time in its history. And with Amanda Staveley, she's putting a personal interest in promoting football for Newcastle United women's. How exciting is that?
So incredibly exciting. And I was here when the England's national team won the Euros, which was amazing. And I just feel like you can kind of like people have told me like women's football is up and coming. And that's so exciting to not only be a part of like the new ownership and everything that's happening at Newcastle, but also like it feels like a movement is happening within the country surrounding women's football in general, and that's just so exciting to be a part of.
And let's talk about football fans. I mean, I confess I know next to nothing about women's football in America. What sort of size crowds would you normally play in front of?
Let's see here. For my college team, not a lot. Like maybe 50, 75 people, like not a lot. But for my W League team, Asheville City, like I said, decent, probably like 2,000, 2,500. I think was the biggest crowds, and they were really fun environments, but nothing like St. James last year. I think, what was it, like 22,000 or something?
That's right, of course, because on the 27th of November this year, you're going to be playing Bradford at St. James's Park, probably more than 20,000, maybe it's even more than 30,000, who knows? What does that feel like?
It's so exciting. I just can't even picture myself in an environment like that. And like you were saying, for women's football, like it's just huge. Like to be selling tickets in that capacity and to be selling out crowds, like it's phenomenal and really exciting.
You must be having the time of your life.
I am.
Grace, thanks very much for joining me on Tyneside Live. For the viewers out there who don't know a lot about you, before we talk about the St James's Park thing, how did you get into football and get to the dizzy heights of being the club captain and goalkeeper for Newcastle United Women?
Yeah, of course. So I started playing football when I was 5 for a team officially. Always played football, having kickabouts with my friends. And then I joined Sutherland Academy when I was about 14, 15 and played there for a few years, and then eventually signed on at Newcastle when I was 19. So I'm 24 now, so if you can do the maths, for being here about 5-6 years going in. And then coming up this season, obviously Brooke left as club captain, who'd always been my captain as my time at Newcastle, and Becky offered us the position. Obviously I couldn't snap a hand off fast enough.
What's it been like? I mean, the club's been kind of annexed into the margins for quite a few years, almost playing in the shadows as an afterthought. What's the transition been like over the past 12 months under the new ownership?
Yeah, of course. I think the last 12 months for everyone as fans, players, everyone's been a complete 360, a complete whirlwind, and kind of it started the snowball of just crazy momentum, like more fans coming to the games. Obviously, we eventually got to play at Kingston Park, and the kind of in front of 3,000 fans was amazing for us, and kind of probably was a bit of a kickstart for everyone. And then at the end of the season, we got the opportunity to play at St James's Park, which of course was phenomenal. We didn't expect the crowds that we had, and from there we're kind of working as hard as ever into pre-season, and we're cracking on, obviously hoping for promotion again.
Talking about that, how devastated were you by just missing out last season?
Yeah, I think it was such a close league. I think if you look back over the last however many years that the league's ran, if you finish on that type of point, you're pretty much guaranteed promotion. So it was pretty bittersweet to swallow, to be honest with you. But it's kind of lit a fire under us and just makes us want to work hard more for this season, and hopefully we'll get the top spot.
And what was it like on that match in April, I think it was, against Anatown? Describe the feeling of coming out in front of 22,000 fans?
Yeah, of course. Well, the full build up of the day, kind of like the night before, it was like Christmas Eve, and I remember me and a couple of lasses would travel together to St James's, and we're at the bus stop, and there was lasses with like Newcastle scarves on and families with tune tops on, and it was amazing. And then obviously when we walked out of the tunnel after the 15-minute delay, we didn't know what to expect, and then everyone just looked around, and we saw obviously war flags and everyone going mental. It was amazing.
And of course you're playing now at St James's on the 27th of November against Bradford. How excited are you?
Oh, it's amazing. Obviously, it went live the day before and hasn't stopped. I've had to put it in the draw at work, so it's just been going absolutely mental. I think it's an amazing opportunity. Obviously, the weekend there's no England game on that Sunday, so it's felt perfectly for us to try and build as much crowd as we can. And obviously, it gives up people opportunity getting to St James's Park for as cheap as chips. Really, if you're a fan, if you're a family member who haven't experienced St James's Park before, it's a perfect opportunity.
If you'd like to see more videos like this and be notified the moment I release the next one, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Becky, thanks for talking to me again on Tyneside Live. So first of all, for the viewers watching this video, they've heard Becky, the name and manager of Newcastle United women's team. But who is Becky? You know, what's your story? How did you get into football and then get to this point managing the club?
I think, like everyone who's involved in football, started off as a massive football fan. Originally from the North East, and got a passion for North East women's football. I moved away to go to Loughborough University when I was 18, and spent 4 years down at the university. And one of the biggest experiences for me learning my football kind of trade was between my second and third year at university. I went to on placement as an intern at Nottingham Forest Football Club. So I worked full time with their boys under 18s team, and then went back to uni, kind of worked part time at Forest. And it was that experience working with players that have went on to play in the Championship and the Premier League, where I just thought, I really want more of a chunk of this, I really want a slice of this. And at the time I was doing sports science stuff, so looking at GPS data, looking at stuff in the gym and video analysis. But I thought, I really want to be the coach or manager on the sideline, really kind of managing the team. So I went back to uni, obviously kept studying, and then when I left uni I went into a different career full time, and like most coaches, it's so hard to actually find a coaching role that, isn't just voluntary and isn't just part-time. So like everyone else, I was coaching, 7 o'clock in the morning with my uni sessions at Nottingham University. I'd then go and do my 9 till 5 job, and then on an evening I'd go and coach and support some of the sessions at Nottingham Forest. So it's been quite a journey to this moment so far. And then I moved back up to the northeast and worked at Northumbria University as the head of women's football there, which is how I've got such a close relationship with a lot of the players, because a lot of them are on that dual programme with myself. I was coaching them at uni whilst they were studying as a student athlete on a scholarship. So that kind of dual career for me and the players has obviously got us all to where we are now, which is obviously coaching and playing at Newcastle United Football Club. So that's kind of my journey so far.
Correct us if I'm wrong. Would it be fair to suggest that you've began your football career when women's football wasn't so popular, when you've had to break through lots of social barriers where an eyebrow might be raised, and you went through this transition to now it's just burst into our living rooms and it's just everybody's talking about it. What's that transition been like?
Oh, it's a massive transition, and I think I've kind of seen loads of different sides to it, if I'm honest. And, it wasn't long ago where girls were paying to play football, and that's still the reality at a lot of different football clubs. Obviously ours, with Amanda leading it, the girls, we're actually paying the girls to play. So there's big changes in that respect on and off the pitch. But yeah, for myself, it was playing on Cows Fields. It was, kind of hoping we could get 11 girls together to play. It was bringing your own equipment. It was, washing the bibs. It was all the things that, in men's football were just a luxury. Whereas for us girls, we've had to do it the tough way. I think what's so important, I've worked with people like the likes of Elisa Bell, who's our General Secretary, and Sue Cumming, our Head of Women's Football, and they tell me stories of, your era wasn't as bad as ours. We used to put the nets up, we used to bring our own football to training, and I think now it's just so exciting to see that the girls are being more respected. They're getting equal access. They're getting the opportunity to play at the men's stadium. It's just absolutely fantastic. And the Lionesses with the England team have inspired kind of the whole country, and we're just hoping to do that as a Newcastle United team as well. And I think the best thing about Amanda, although she's got so much energy and she's obviously a fantastic businesswoman, she's a fantastic female leader and role model. And when I'm in meetings with her, she's very much pushing me to speak my opinion and listens to what I've got to say and how that might impact the team, and she really empowers me as kind of a female manager. So that's just obviously been so important. I think when that takeover happened, I was probably worried, like everybody else, the players were, what does that mean for us? Is it everything we've built, would that just get taken off us and somebody else who was more experienced would be in charge? But she's kind of said to me, look, you're a young up and coming female coach, let's empower you, let's help you and give you a go. So I think, it's absolutely terrific. And as you're saying, especially, women in women's sport and probably in other aspects of life, we've had to battle hard for what we've got. And I think now we're seeing that positive change. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Lastly, Becky, a message, if you can face the camera, to the viewers, the families, the girls, as a kind of what would you say to them to encourage them to get along, to support the club for your matches, maybe at Kingston Park or Whitley Park or especially St James's Park? What would you say?
I'd just say girls and women, we're at the forefront of it, doing it, wearing the strip, and the girls will be in that black and white shirts on the 27th of November playing at St James's, and we just need your support. We're trying to push down boundaries and bring that visibility to women's sport and women's football, but we need that 12th woman, we need that crowd supporting us. So please come out in numbers, bring your mums, bring your sisters, bring your sons, bring your husbands, and get them to enjoy women's football. I'm sure it won't be a day to disappoint. It'll be a great spectacle to come and watch.
So there you have it, really exciting time for Newcastle United women's team. So if you want to get a ticket, they're on sale now online, £3 for adults, £1 for concession. If you buy a ticket before the 31st of October, you put into some sort of lucky draw for 4 to be picked out to be mascots for the game on the 27th of November against Bradford. How cool is that? On the match day itself, I think the price is double. So anyway, the Newcastle United women's, they're from our area. Get yourself along to the game. Let's beat 22,000 that were had against Alnwick Town.